when you have the thought of my life is mundane, all that kind of stuff, remind yourself you're created original. So everything you are is original and everything you are is interesting. If I'm not authentically myself consistently through everything I post, whether it's in those three things or not, I'm going to run out of energy. Won't be able to post my entire life, which is what I'm trying to do. I won't be able to post consistently, daily, however many times I want to post, because it's like a character, right? Like, people act, but that's work. They go into work to act, and they clock out, and it's long hours, and they talk about how tired they are after it. The biggest excuse people would use is they're too afraid to put their actual personality, their passion, and how passionate about it they are on the internet, because it's scary.
All right. So let's start with this scenario. You're walking down the street in the middle of a big city. Somebody stops you and asks you to introduce yourself. How are you going to do that? What are the key things that you want people to know about you?
Like, what's the situation? Is this like a really beautiful woman? Is this like some business owner that I really want to like know what I'm doing? Or is this just like someone I'm meeting for the first time? Like just like a homie?
This is a random person, but think about this as the general audience of who you're talking to right now. This is somebody who's in college, who's doing school, but really is trying to unlock a different part of their mind. And they just met you. They think you look, that you're throwing a crazy fit right now. You're like, hey, I want to talk to you right now. What is the one thing, the couple things that they have to know about you?
Right. Okay. Well, I'm Cole. I run a brand. I'm in the early stages of startup. Not that I've been running a brand for a very short amount of time, but because we haven't got it all figured out yet. So we're in the early stages of just getting everything set up how we actually want it to be. I run a social media account on TikTok that helps new brands get started and kind of build a very base level structure to build off of. I also post, and I'm a huge content freak. Absolutely love social media, everything about it. Maybe sometimes a little bit too much, but just to get things started, I love making videos. I love it.
And I mean, that's why you're on the show today, right? It's the process of consuming that media, but then also flipping it into actually creating, which let's just dive into that. That's not a step that a lot of individuals take. There's billions of people that consume media every single day, and yet the actual content creation comes from a very select few. What do you think that connection is between the actual consumption and then straight into, okay, I'm actually going to create media. I'm actually going to tell my story on this platform that's been given to us?
I am a huge fan of content. I'm a big scroller, right? Whether it's good or bad, I wake up in the morning, I scroll and I consume content, and it's literally, I just soak in so much content, and I'll see a tough edit, right? Like maybe it's like a Ninja Turtles edit, maybe it's a Walking Dead edit, maybe it's a Transformers edit. And I'll see something like that, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's an edit or not. I'll see that and I'll go, I can do that. Because stuff like that creates, for me, I see that as like, that's art that's accessible, because with ChatGPT, with, AI tools, YouTube, these skills of creating anything, whether it's an edit or not, they're all so accessible. So for me, it was like, I can do that too. I have a different, maybe better idea. I'm going to do that. That's how it started. That's how I was like, all right, content is actually accessible to me just as it is accessible to anyone else, and everyone started from nothing. So
you have an opportunity and you took it. Like I think that's like a big step that most people are not willing to take. That's a step that I'm in right now. We've talked about this off air, but this is a step where I realize in my industry, in most, not all, but in most industries, there's at least a need of some kind. There's a hole of some kind for content creation. Now, my argument is that it has to be high quality, but there's some type of need in every single industry. And that's something that you and I have talked about, but it's a hard step to take. What do you think is the biggest roadblock for somebody who wants to go start creating media, but just won't get over the hump as it is right now?
I'm doing a post challenge with three of my friends right now. Three of my friends. And I would say that the biggest excuse people say when they're talking about social media in general, it's like, you have the personality for social media. I don't know if I have the personality for social media. Like I heard that like maybe 4 or 5 times this week because I'm always talking about it. So these conversations are happening and I'm like, yo, you should post this because you're so passionate about this. Every single person is so passionate about something. And I would have these conversations, yo, you have this passion. Why don't you show people? And the biggest excuse people would use is, I don't have, like, that's not me. Like, social media is not me. Or they're too afraid to put their actual personality, their passion, and how passionate about it they are on the internet because it's scary. All your friends follow you. So it's like, if some girl that I'm really interested in is following me, I've just got her number, it can be really scary to put yourself out there and show your true passion on the internet. But that's what blows up. That's what everyone sees. So people see that and they go, I'm not trying to post, right? That's not me. It doesn't have to be a girl. That's just the excuse I'm using right now. But yeah,
It's hard to be authentic, right? It's scary because in the culture that we live in, you post something and then instantly, whether it's positive or negative, you're going to be judged for it. And exactly, right? And so one of the things that you have to come to grips with is, hey, it doesn't matter what people think to an extent. And so obviously you want to take in constructive criticism, but when you post, it's got to be something that is a little bit nerve-wracking for you, but it's also got to fit within what you are trying to be in terms of authenticity. So when you have a video that you prepared, that you've edited up, you're about to post, what is the checklist that you're going down of saying, hey, this fits in the bubble of what I would consider who I am as? Because you're not posting, I mean, no offense, you're not posting makeup tutorial videos every day, right? So it's just
nice.
different. Hey, maybe. But right, it's just a different type of content. So what is the checklist for you when you're telling your story via social media with all these eyes that are judging you, positive and negative? What is that you go down and you say, for me personally, these are the kind of like pillars that I want to stand by as I create media?
Yeah. Firstly, when it comes to people judging you on social media, and I know that wasn't kind of the point you were making there, but when it comes to people judging you on the internet, you can just say, if the video sucks, no one's going to see it, right? Like your friends might see it. But if the video sucks, realistically, no one's going to see it sucking because it sucks. It's not going to get pushed in the algorithm. If it does good, you get praises from your friend. Not that that's why you do it. You should never want to do it for the praises that you'd get if your video goes viral. But that's what I would say. If it sucks, and it won't get shown to people. If it does good, people are going to see it. Secondly, I look at the checklist on my videos when I'm looking at, all right, what's a good video? Like how do I be proud of this video? That was a question, right? How am I going to be proud of this video? If it's not authentically me, I won't be proud of the video. There are some videos that are so highly edited that I'm just not that proud of because they might look really good, but if I'm not showing my personality is so important when it comes to social media because you can make whatever you do, right? You could do makeup tutorials and it could be so good, but it's never ever gonna beat the person talking to you like you're on a FaceTime call in their video. You're never gonna beat that. If you're not talking it through, if you're not talking about your day, your makeup tutorial is just gonna look like another makeup tutorial. There's nothing special about it. So I look at the videos that are like, that's me, man. Like me dancing in the gym and then lifting weight and then dapping up my friends. That's me. Me flipping, editing to some TikTok edit music and then looking all sad and depressed with low exposure. That's not me. It's not bad, but it's not me. I'm not going to like that video. So like that's my checklist.
Well, So one of the things that I guess what you're basically saying is that's just you said that's me. So when you're talking about some of the excuses that people come up with, they're worried to show their authentic self because they might say their personality is boring or something along those lines. And so what I think is really difficult, or one of the biggest criticisms of social media, is that it's not authentic. It's not really what people are like in real life. And I can see that from a celebrity perspective, but just talk about your experience with that, because when you meet somebody that is a fan of your brand or that's following it closely, you, I assume, don't act any differently than you do on that video. And it's vice versa because that's who you are. Talk about the amount of peace, but also just, I mean, in reality, how much more comfortable that is instead of living two lives, one on social media, one in real life, because that's got to be different, right?
It's flipping so different because if you're just like stressed and you got issues, but on social media, you're showing I'm not stressed. My life is actually perfect. I have all of these great moments. Then someone meets you in person and it's like, you're actually low key, like you got some heavy stuff going on, and it shows by how you're acting. It doesn't show on camera because that stuff's all edited. This whole conversation can be edited to make me look like a completely different person if that's what I want, but it's not. So I met a person in real life who recognized me for my TikTok account, and my TikTok account has done really good views in the past. It's done really good views in the past. So he didn't know me as a person. He didn't follow my actual lifestyle IG. He didn't follow like my clothing brand IG, nothing. He just followed the account that showed people how to start a clothing brand. And on that account, I use what's called the Big Brother way of talking. And that's basically just me. That's just like super hype, super energetic. Like you can do this type of talking. And he mentioned to me how similar I was in my videos, which is the best compliment you can get as someone who makes videos. That's the best thing you could actually get, because if someone meets you and you're like you put on the flipping energy for your videos. If I heard that, I'd be like, all right, bro, I'm just me, bro.
So one of the big things about that is you said energy is really important, but you've got to maintain that. And I'm assuming you would say, hey, if energy is not a part of your personality, if you're not a super energetic speaker, then don't try to incorporate that into something that you're not. Because if you're super energetic on a video, right now I'm doing a social media clip, I'm super energetic, but I'm normally talking like this, it's super calm. Then people are not gonna, you're not gonna build a community that's loyal, because they'll follow you for the energetic part, but then they won't stay or they won't engage because of who you really are. Now, the flip side of that is you can, I assume, still get a following without being incredibly energetic all the time, because there's a place for every single person. I think that's the big thing that we're trying to get across. But in your experience, and I know you as a person, so I know you're kind of an energetic guy. Why was that so important for the real aspect of your personality to come out in your videos as a real pipeline?
Because if I'm real and if I'm authentically myself in every aspect of my content. So I'm sure we'll talk about the 20% rule in the future. If I'm doing informational content and then I'm switching over to lifestyle content and then I'm switching to like Yap content, right? Let's say I have those three formulas. If I'm not authentically myself consistently through everything I post, whether it's in those three things or not, I'm going to run out of energy. I won't be able to post my entire life, which is what I'm trying to do. I won't be able to post consistently daily, however many times I want to post, because it's like a character, right? Like people act, but that's work. They go into work to act and they clock out, and it's long hours, and they talk about how tired they are after it. And it's like, bro, if you, Josiah, I know you, man. I know that you're not going to start a YouTube video and be like Mr. Beast. I know you're not going to do that. You're way too thoughtful with your way of talking to talk about Mr. Beast. Am I right or not?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
So
I approach it differently.
Exactly. So if you started doing that with every single one of your pieces of content, sure, your message is the same, but your energy will slowly deplete and you will burn out and people will notice, oh, I'm not dumb. This guy's putting on a persona, and it'll show. It'll show. There are many people on the internet that you can go, all right, this guy's not being himself right now.
And that's, I mean, from your perspective as a consumer of media, that's something that gives me a queasy feeling. That's something that tells me, hey, I don't want to be a part of that community if they're putting on a persona that's, I think, fake or it's not authentic, because it's like, man, that's not something I can trust, because what you're trying to do in all reality, if you care about social media, if you're just posting to post, great, good on you. But if you're being intentional in this, which is what you're doing and what I eventually would love to do, is essentially what you're trying to do is build trust with your audience and build a community that not to monetize it, because that is eventually the goal for some creators, but the idea is you're building a community that trusts you and is loyal to you. And that's why a guy like Mr. Beast is doing so well, because he can go and start ventures because he has the community and the investment behind it to back it up. But the only way that happens is if you build trust the first way around it. So what do you think that you do specifically in your brand, both your personal and your clothing, to build that trust with your audience instead of just saying, I mean, let's be real, you are trying to sell something, with all honesty. And yet you give away so much for free. I mean, you give away all of this knowledge. You're giving this knowledge right now away for free. You give away a ton on social media, especially in that TikTok account you're talking about. But the ultimate goal, or part of the ultimate goal, is to sell something. And so if you just were always trying to get a money grab, trying to do all these things for me to buy your product, it would feel really inauthentic. But you go out of your way to build a community and to bring people into your lives and say, here's what I'm doing to create. And so now I know, and it's now something I want to buy because I want to invest in you. I want to be a part of your story, and I want to be a part of this community that you're building. So all of those aspects come back to trust. So I'm curious, what does trust look like for you in the creation of your brand and how you create content around that?
You know who Higher Up Wellness is? Have you seen that guy before?
Yeah, we talked about him the other day.
Okay. All right. So Higher Up Wellness is an example of someone who goes through struggles, but shares it all to be like, he doesn't shy away from telling people about it. That builds authenticity. That builds trust, because you know if something's not going well, I'll know about it. Instead of if something's not going well, he'll just hide it. There's no way. Me and Connor started our TikTok account because we were going through struggles and we were having a hard time finding information about certain topics. So we started the account to share that information with people. And then, right, we do sell something on that account. So this is something that me and Connor talk about all the time. We want to make our TikTok account be as informational as possible. So if we build something like a tech pack template, which is basically a blueprint that'll help people make their clothes, because a manufacturer is going to be actually making them. But if they have an idea, they need to make a blueprint for that to send to the manufacturer. That's called a tech pack. A tech pack template basically just helps new brand owners build one of those. We made one and we sell it on our website for very cheap, but it's not nothing. So it's like $20 or whatever it is for the tech pack. But we said we teach people how to build it first. And then if they want to save time, they can go buy the product. And that builds authenticity, because you see the video of the tutorial that did upwards of 500,000 views between 3 videos. And you can see that we are not like gatekeeping information. All the information is right there. When the end of the video comes and we're like, by the way, if you want to save time, you can buy the tech pack. That's a call to action that works, because they know, all right, like we can trust this guy because he just told me how to make it. So that's how I try to, and I don't do it right, sell the product while being authentic.
We talked about this in the last interview that I did, and it was all about providing free value. And one of the things that Nathan told me, he said, and he's a videographer, and what he said is the way that he got his big gigs was by providing, eventually, this route worked for him where he provided free value. He went and filmed and edited and created videos for people for free. And then he had basically a portfolio that he could share to get gigs and to get paid and then to slowly move up. Now, it's a little different because social media, the approach is slightly different. However, that free value that you're providing, I think, is the secret to really exploding anything, to creating something that's really special, but like we talked about, building that trust. So you are providing that free value, and yet your time, that information is worth something. So what do you tell to that person who, I feel like I have a lot of broadcasting knowledge and I'd love to share it, but in some way it feels like it's valuable up here. Like it's worth something. Somebody should have to pay, somebody should have to do something for this to happen. And yet it should be something, or it's something that you guys just hand out. But then you also have a pipeline. So I'm curious, what does free value mean to you? And where do you kind of draw that line of like, okay, here's too much and here's not enough?
Good question. Good question. This is something that me and Connor, who I run the account with, we talk about this all the time. Because as a follower of Christ, I would love to just help as many people as I possibly can. That's my goal. That's why we created the account. Sometimes we do things where we tell people, if you need help with this, DM us and we'll help you through that. And if the video does really well, we could get 1,000 DMs. And when that happened, we had to go, hey, actually, by the way, we're so sorry. We didn't expect this many people to reach out, which is on us because we should expect that. If we offer something, we should honor that. But we would just say either we can't do it, we can't help you with this at the moment, or we put a paywall behind it. It's like, hey, just got 800 DMs. We actually can't do all of these for free. And honestly, be honest with the person. So don't tell the person, yo, actually, it's $800 for this. Don't say that. If they've DM'd you expecting something free, don't just do that. Explain the situation for them, because at the end of the day, all of these people are real human people. Just like me, if I were to reach out to someone on the internet who's much bigger than me, much more knowledgeable than me, I would expect some honesty from them as well. It's a line that isn't. It's very, what's it called? It's a very shadowy line.
It's not a black and white line. It's
not a black and white line. Yeah.
And it's something that you have to decide on your own, and it's not an easy decision, right? It's not like something that you can just throw to the curb either, because it's so important. I mean, that is the end to eventually monetizing. Because if you are just trying to sell your product ABC without any extra, it doesn't make any sense because you have no case studies. So
yeah, and you're dealing with actual people. Like, these are actual people you're dealing with.
It's not just a simulation. This is legitimate people that have value, and I mean, they have brains. Like it doesn't take a lot of common sense to realize that somebody's new at this and they're trying to learn, but you have to get that case study. And once you get that case study, then it's just stacking. Then it almost gets easier, but you have to open the door first. And that's one of the best ways to do it, in my opinion. So that's really good. We've talked about it. We've kind of hit it a couple times. Let's backtrack just a little bit. Tell me about your clothing brand. You mentioned Connor a couple times. Tell me about his role. For somebody who has no idea what you're talking about, break this down, because you do something pretty cool.
Before we jump into this topic, can I actually just ask you a question first?
Love to.
You had mentioned before that you don't believe in quality, or you believe in content only if it's quality content. Can you break that thought down a little bit more? Because I feel like there's a lot to go into with just that statement.
Yeah. Let's discuss it. So I have a prediction, and I feel like I talked about this on the last show. There's Nathan described it as a pendulum shift. So, you have all the balls lined up and one goes up and then it hits it and the other one comes up. So it feels like right now, social media is really, really far out in terms of the way that people are editing their videos, and the short, really, really, what's the word? It would be like flashy. It's super, super flashy. It's low education. That's why I love your guys' stuff so much, is because it's educational. That's stereotyping. That's, I would say, majority, not everything. My idea is that it's going to shift into a little bit longer form, not long form, but longer form, 3 to 5 minutes of more education based, more quality for every single video. Now that's part of it. I also think people are going to get fed up with just those fast, quick edits, and they are going to turn to what you guys are creating right now. And I think that this shift has already happened a little bit, but everybody's time is worth so much, right? And so if I see the same video, the same edit 50 times, it's wasting my time. But if I see a video that's helping me develop my personal brand, or I have somebody who's helping me become a broadcaster, that quality of that video is so important, because my time is valuable, just like everybody else that's on social media. And I think we're going to become more stubborn about it and say, hey, quality is super important. The only exception, the only caveat I'll throw into this, and I'll let you respond, is that the TikTok algorithm doesn't care, in my opinion.
It does not care.
But I think that Instagram and some of the other platforms that you could post stuff on, I know LinkedIn is kind of a newer one for people, but TikTok doesn't care. Just throw things at it. It's going to eventually work. I'm sure there's a strategy that you use, but in terms of YouTube and Instagram, I think that part of it is going to raise the bar. And then the issue with TikTok then will be, okay, if you really want brain rot, you can go to TikTok, but because it's just the same thing over and over and over again. However, if TikTok follows the same thing and they move up a little bit, I feel like the quality of social media out there could raise the bar. It could go the opposite direction, but that's my personal opinion.
I almost think, now I don't know how much research you've done into this. I know you have people who do this, so I think I would trust your information a little bit more than mine. But what I've noticed is I think TikTok might be ahead of the game when it comes to scrolling in general. They want people to scroll. So me and Connor were just talking about this. TikTok, what's the percentage of people who post on TikTok that have a TikTok account? Do we know that number? It's high. Whatever it is, it's high. So the percentage of people who own a TikTok, a high percentage of them post on that account. The reason being is because it's so easy. It's so accessible. The TikTok editing page and filming page, I've started using that for content more than I've used high editing platforms like DaVinci or Final Cut. Only on TikTok though. You're right. On Instagram, the bar is so much higher.
Okay, you ready for this number? I mean to interrupt you. Okay, so it's over 50%. Over 50% of TikTok have, just for reference, and I love that you're saying this, for reference, 7% of YouTube accounts have posted. And if you think about that, that's mostly just 1 or 2 videos. Somebody said, oh, I'd love to get this out there, a school project. In all reality, like the actual usage and the posting frequency, I mean, Instagram is up to 20%, but also think about that's mostly posts. And posts aren't really growing you. Reels is the
Reels. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the fact that TikTok is at a high rate, and this is Google research, so please, if you're listening to this, fact check that. But
Yeah.
I love that you're saying that, because that doesn't even occur to me, because if you think about it that way, TikTok is only video. Like, it is only video. And those other platforms, yes, YouTube's only video, but it's a different type. It's a different form. And so I like what you're saying there. And I think that we're not contradicting opinions. I think that these could work together.
Right.
But one of the things that you have to do is you have to look to the future and see where content is heading. If you just focus on what's going on 3 weeks ago, I assume you have way more experience than this. I assume that's not a good strategy. You're looking to where it's going to be, and getting ahead is essential in everything that you do in the professional world, but in social media as well. Is that kind of the right thing to say?
Yes, true. And the only reason I bring up the fact that TikTok might be ahead is because the whole authenticity part of social media, I think stems from the fact that if you're scrolling on TikTok, since there's so many people posting just iPhone videos, no matter what it is, okay, and I'm reading this because this is a thought I had literally today, the most casual, raw way of effectively formulating a story or an idea or a joke does the best. This is on TikTok. So the way that people post on there is so like in the moment, I have an idea, let me put my 15-second timer on, blah, 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 blah. And if they're good at it, they will go viral. That's Higher Up Wellness does that all the time. He has an idea and he can effectively just draw you in just like that. You're scrolling and it's like, if you're doing this, blah, 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 you're wrong. And it's very good information because you can tell he's thought about it. But it's so quick, high-paced, fast-moving content, and everyone's doing it on there. So that's where this, like, I feel like it's bleeding into Instagram a little bit, where the quality is just so high. But if I'm looking at a gym edit and the same person is posting a gym edit, I'm going to follow the person that has personality in their gym edit. Someone that has like almost not a lower quality, but more of a more raw, authentic type of video. It's still a cool gym edit, but if someone's making a funny face in their edit compared to someone who's literally just like stone cold the entire time, that could make a big difference. Seriously.
Yeah, that's super important. Personality. That's my biggest takeaway so far, is just showing your personality isn't the wrong thing to do. That's not a negative thing to do. Being your authentic self and the person that you were created to be, that's exactly what you're supposed to do in everyday interactions. You're not supposed to fit into the mold, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I'm trying to say right now with this podcast is you're not just trying to fit into the mold. Because when you do that, do it.
The people who are big and at the top are there because they were themselves. They stuck out in their own way. If you copy the person at the top, they've already done that. So you're not copying the person at the top. You're just trying to be the exact same person. And you shouldn't ever do that. That doesn't make sense.
Well, and even outside of social media, that's the big thing that we're harping on right now is, hey, you are a seen, loved individual, right? That is completely different than anybody else. And so if you try to fit the mold, you try to focus on being like somebody else. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go and find parts of people that you love and try to implement it into your everyday life. But ultimately, you are your own person. You were created differently than any other person. There is no copies, right? And so the fact that, it's like a snowflake, the fact that you're different makes you completely special in that way. But that's what I'm trying to encourage people to wake up to, because I have a lot of mentors. I have a lot of people I look up to, people that I know and people that I don't. And yet I'm not trying to be like any of them for 100%. I'll take an aspect. I mean, your personal branding. I would love to be like Cole in terms of the determination and discipline to be posting videos, on a regular basis. But then I also take something from Nathan that I talked to last time, and just the ability to see the end goal with what he's trying to do and work hard at it and give up free value. And the fact that he followed his convictions, which some people don't ever do. And that's
what's this guy?
His name's Nathan Blumberg. He's if you haven't listened to the episode, you should go check it out. It's a great conversation with a guy who has been a videographer for some of the biggest names. He, if anybody follows sports, he's Baker Mayfield's videographer. He'll do stuff for him. Yeah. He's a big deal, but he owns a company called Creative Juice Agency. And I love that this episode is right after that one, because I'm seeing, like, he wants to focus on long form. This is a quote from what he said. I want to focus on long form, but I realize that short form is what it is right now. And so we do both. And he enjoys making long form content. Like, he would love to do that, but he realizes that even though he doesn't love it as much, short form is super important right now.
Alex Hormozi and Iman Ghazi talk about their YouTube videos as investments. Have you seen that? Where it's something that creates value and actually rises in value the longer you have a video out. If I post a YouTube video, that same YouTube video could perform just as well like today as it did when I released it. If it has, if it has the right information, if it has good information. And if I have a link in that video, that is a funnel that constantly just creates value for you, constantly. And on top of that, long-term form, you can clip up. You talk about clipping stuff up all the time, and people need to hear that. People need to hear that because there's a reason streamers are huge. There's a reason there's so many stream clips. If you're on that side of the internet, if you're on the side of the internet that sees streamer clips, you know how insane numbers they do. It's insane. It's crazy.
They're not watching. Their fans aren't watching every single minute that they're on, even the most dedicated ones. So that's not how streaming works. But they're invested in that personality that you keep talking about because just like you said, those people, they break the mold. They're different than everybody else. And that's why people are entertained by watching them, not only on their live streams, but also in those clips that you're seeing that they are clipping up. People are clipping up for edits. Like it's a job that's not for everybody. Like we're not saying every single person should stream, but I think my takeaway, I assume that this is what you're going with, is the personality of that individual is what makes them successful on social media. And so that's one thing that you have to really lean into. Allow your personality to shine.
And if you have a 20-minute video on YouTube that shows 20 minutes of you instead of on TikTok, which is like 30 seconds of you, people are going to see way more of that personality. So they'll be way more connected to you as an actual human being.
So you've got a lot of great advice, and it's so helpful. And this is one of the best conversations I've had in any of the podcasts that I've done.
Yeah, I say that.
But tell me why you, like what, and this is going back to your clothing brand. Like why is this something that is important to you? Because this isn't something you just picked up one day and you said, you know what, I'm bored, I'm going to start doing this. This is something you're passionate about, and there's some reasons why.
Well, actually, I would say that when I first started the clothing brand with Connor's flipping great. We bounce ideas off each other all the time. We thought that the clothing brand thing was fast cash. So we were like, yo, what can we do right now to make a ton of money? And we had no idea how to post on social media. Never done it before. Actually, never posted anything on social media before that. Didn't even have an Instagram account. So we create this TikTok account to promote our clothing brand. Because in 2022 or 2023, clothing brands were so popular, everyone was starting one. So we thought that was going to be fast cash. And we posted, no troll, almost over 250 videos before a video did over 10K. And like, I'm talking 3 times a day. I'm talking the worst quality videos, the worst quality. But we grew to love it because seeing statistics, and think about that, the amount of videos, right? Imagine how much data you have when you post over 250 videos. So we're looking at that data and we're breaking it down, and every day we're trying to like just improve that a little bit more than the next day. And eventually we find something that clicks. And that's where this love of content and brand building comes from, because finding something that clicks is not like something that happens right away, but it is a process that can be achieved. It can be achieved. It's a process that over time, all right, now we have data. Now we can look at this. It can be achieved. And falling in love with that is on the content side, on the clothing brand side, that's the most important thing.
There's a school of thought in the content creation world that says, don't look at the analytics at all. It doesn't matter. You should just create content that you enjoy. And there's a school of thought that says, only look at the analytics, follow every single trend that you see pop up in your stats that come up. And I tend to fall in the middle because I think that those are two extremes, which I think that you guys do too. But I think that there's something to be said at taking analytics with a grain of salt and saying, hey, it's not everything. But at the same time, what you did, I assume, I don't think you clearly said this, but I think this is what you were meaning to. 250 videos, you see the analytics, and then you take out what is working, and now that's what you make. right? It's the 1% rule that I hear about all the time. The top 1% of your videos that you make those, a bunch of those, and then take the top 1% of that, and then make a ton of those. And it's just what you're slowly doing is refining it to be the highest quality it can be, but also curated to your audience. Is that something that's accurate in what you're trying to say?
And I think, and it's important to understand that it's not all about analytics. You're totally right, because you look at analytics and you take your personality out. If you're seeing something that's going viral but it's not you, you shouldn't post it. So,
right.
Great point.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, so there's a couple rules that you follow when you're posting. You spoke about the 20% rule earlier. Can you kind of break that down for me?
Also, I'm going to take my hoodie off real quick. All right. The 25% rule is basically, I want to sell you a product on my account, or I want to build up to a space where I can actually sell a product. So me, if I were to sell, like, I don't know, car parts, I was big into cars, okay? I would want 25% of my videos to be value driven, right? How can I build out this car to make it, how to motor swap, how to replace wheels, value stuff, even like a business side of running a motor shop or whatever it is. Okay. The next would be lifestyle. Next 25%, lifestyle stuff. What does your day-to-day look like, right? Day in the lives, just clips of your life, aesthetic clips put together, stuff that shows, oh, this is actually a cool lifestyle. This is a cool lifestyle. The next 25 would be authenticity. So no one's just going to follow some guy that posts cool car photos and then how to build a car. You need authenticity in there, or else his information isn't trustworthy. So problems he's dealing with, ideas that he's having, day-to-day, pick up the camera, record his thought process type of videos, right? That shows authenticity. And then viral videos. How are people going to see your account, right? How are they going to see your account? That's with stuff like, I just crashed my car and then I, engine swapped it afterwards. So the hook would be that text hook, and then just a video of him smashing his car. Those type of videos are how you get eyeballs to your account. And that 25% rule of value, lifestyle, authentic, and viral content is such a good framework when you're thinking about how to build your account out. Like, how do I build my personal brand? It's those 4 videos.
So when somebody's looking at developing that, they might say, okay, well, my life's not that interesting. You would say, I assume, that doesn't matter. That's part of your story.
Yeah.
And yet you think that, but really when you start to record it, I feel like I've seen that. Well, my life's not that interesting. Now I have some cool moments happen, but my day-to-day is not that crazy. But now that I've started to film, I'm doing a challenge right now. If people don't know this yet, but I'm doing a challenge right now. If you haven't seen me on social media, it's because I'm taking a break during the month of November. But I'm recording everything behind me not doing. There's a lot of parts of it. I'll explain it all. December is going to be a fun month.
It's fire.
2026 is going to be an awesome year. This is kind of the beginning of that. But the reason I say that is I've started to record. I've started to video journal. I'm starting to share my thoughts, like you said, on these. I mean, I've got I was doing it right before this episode, just talking about how excited I am for this episode. I've got my little DJI that I record stuff on. So part of that is I'm sharing what people would say the mundane parts of your life. And yet, if I edit it up and I find the right person, if they hear it, that is the right audience. And somebody still is interested in my thoughts about a run, or my thoughts about, hey, here's my podcast, or even just more specifically, my lighting setup. I mean, we talked about lighting before the show came on. You've got a lighting setup. So do I. And they're different, and they're for different purposes, and they're for different, skin colors and different aspects of the room that we're in. There's so many different aspects. And yet you and I are interested about it because it's something that we're living out. So there's gotta be somebody out there that's interested too. So your mundane decisions, it's not really actually mundane.
Every single person is a reflection of you, right? So if I think something's cool, or if I'm dealing with an issue and someone else is dealing with the exact same issue, we now have a connection. Now we vibe, right? I have a good example for you. I posted a video. Even now, it's climbing on a new account that I'm testing at. 263 followers. I don't know if you can see that. No followers. Okay? Just to practice the skill of talking. Because I know this is all edited up, but I'm flipping all over the place with my talking. I'm just yapping. Okay. So I created a new account to just talk to the camera about my stuff. And some videos that I don't think will do well because I don't think they're the highest quality. I don't think they're, the best information. Those videos will do numbers. This is an example. I was driving home. Someone cut me off or whatever. Someone was going slow or whatever. And I took out my phone when I got home and recorded a video talking about driving. Just Winnipeg drivers. Just what I was feeling in the moment. I didn't like the video. I liked a different one. So I edited both, posted the one I really liked first. Okay? 67 views on the first one, the one that I really liked, and the one I didn't like, almost 2,000 likes. All right, I posted this yesterday. It's got 15,000 views, but really think about that. It took me 20 seconds to make the video. In my mundane life, I live the most average life anyone could ever live. I posted a video for 20 seconds. It got 15,000 people saw my face because of one video. That's crazy.
I'm really excited to see where this goes and to see everything. There's a lot more to talk about. There really is. But I want to see how this all kind of plays out, both in my personal life and yours. And this is a conversation that will be continued in the future. But as our time kind of wraps up here, I want to ask you one last thing. Because my target audience with this is people that you talked about earlier that think that they live a mundane life. They think that they don't have a personality. And whether this is social media or not. And they're sitting there and they're like, yeah, this is not really for me. But they're listening to it right now. If they made it to this point, they're feeling convicted about something. They're inspired by something. They've heard something that you've said. And they're like, that applies to me. That inspires me. So what is your challenge to those people that are listening to this right now? What is your challenge to me and to this audience as we sit here and we say, okay, this is great. I'm inspired. I want to go do this. What now?
All right. When you have the thought of my life is mundane, all that kind of stuff, remind yourself you're created original. So everything you are is original and everything you are is interesting. And then find someone that also has that type of drive. Someone, a lot of people don't have that. So write down in your notebook, keep yourself accountable, be that person for yourself, and create like a little challenge for yourself. Say, I'm going to post 10 days straight. That's what I did. I did this with my buddy 20 days ago. Okay. It felt like last week because it went by so fast. But 20 days ago, I said, hey, by the way, we're going to do 10 days straight. And he was so scared. He wouldn't even post on Instagram because all his friends are on there. His second video, he finally posted on Instagram, did 40K. Did 40K. And so it just takes putting yourself out there. Say, for 10 days, I'm going to post a video every day. Whatever you feel comfortable with. If you need to block all your friends in order to post, if you need to create a new account, and by the way, you can turn suggested accounts off. If you create a new account, you can turn suggested friends off. Do that if you're so afraid and just post. And then just post and just post and just post. And a video is not going to do really, really well right away. It takes you getting a 200 view video before you get a 10K video for the most part. So the 10-day challenge, do the 10-day challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cole Neufeld. Hey, appreciate you today, brother. That was so good.
Thank you for listening to the Long Answer podcast. I hope you learned something today, but most importantly, I hope you go and apply it to your life. If you haven't already, go check out our show on our socials. We'd love to connect with you. Thanks for listening. My name is Josiah Winnell. Go be great.